This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Thursday, July 11th, 2024, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Edgar Castro of Chevron and Clay Norrbom of 06 Energy. We're going to learn about the new solar array, which is being installed at the Chevron REG biodiesel facility in Mason City, and it's going to help power that plant moving forward. But first, let's take a look at the closing market summary.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of the trading day here on Thursday, we are joined by Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net. Kaden, what did we see take place in the grain market here today?
Yeah, at least a little bit of green on the screen, mostly across the grains. And livestock, we had a bit of a rebound day today. Certainly not enough to make us feel better about what's happened over the past week. But, corn and beans both going to close higher today. Corn up 3 to 4 cents and beans up a penny or so after trading both sides throughout the day. And, it's certainly been a rough 2-week stretch, really. We could take some more days like this, though, for sure.
So with the beans yesterday, we see that big downturn to the negative side and then a little bit of a bounce back here today, like you said. But was that all based on the weather pattern, do you think, yesterday, and then just kind of some technical trading to bounce back today? How do you think that played out?
Yeah, I think the trade's just, continuing to digest where they think the crop's going to be in forecasts and so forth. I don't, especially today's trade, I don't, necessarily put a lot of stock in bouncing back. Overnight and at the early open this morning, we were up pretty strong. Close to double digits, and then mid-morning that turned around to 6 cents lower, and then we clawed back and got pretty close to even today. But yeah, I think the market's oversold, corn and beans both, and to be honest, every trader in the market knows that right now. But it just hasn't really mattered yet. It can go from oversold to very oversold, and we've seen it happen time and time again. So I wouldn't necessarily put a ton of hope just in that oversold indicator necessarily. I think if the funds want to continue to push this thing and we continue to get, good rains across the Midwest, we may not be done yet, unfortunately.
And of course, we're all thinking about the big USDA WASDE report that comes out tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time. Is this traditionally one that is looked at as a market mover, or is this one that's thought to be a little bit more quiet?
Yeah, I would usually consider this one more quiet. I went back and looked the last 4 years in this July report. Corn yield has not changed for 3 of them. Usually don't plan to see a yield change until the August report. Last year we did get a reduction after, what was a pretty hot and dry June. I just don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think, things have gone reasonably well enough across the vast majority of acres to keep yield constant. You'll see the planted acres change off of the June 30th report and maybe a bit of a demand shift. But overall, I think you're going to see yield stay the same, and overall that report's going to be fairly minute. August will be the big one.
And Kaden, this next question I'm going to ask you, it is a tricky conversation because there are areas of, for example, northwest Iowa, southern Minnesota that are dealing with crop damage, extensive amounts because of the flooding and the high amount of rainfall that they've dealt with here this year. But the other areas that haven't had those catastrophic events does seem like have been getting pretty timely rainfall and that consistent rainfall so far throughout the growing season. So it does kind of seem like we are lending ourselves, or I should say trending towards overall having a pretty solid crop at this moment. Is that kind of how you view it?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. And in all honesty, obviously it doesn't matter what I think, what the market thinks, and the market, seems to think that we've got a decent crop the way it's been selling off. But, I think, I can't say for sure, but I think most people would say nationally they feel better about this year's crop than last year's crop. And, last year we still managed to put in a 177 yield. So, there's people in the know in the industry, seed salesmen and agronomists that think, the trend line USDA yield is still within reach. That'd be pretty major. And if that's the case, we're certainly not done going down. But I'm with you. I think, by and large, like you said, there's certainly problem areas, and you certainly feel bad for those areas as well. But I think by and large, we're in pretty good shape, and I think the market feels that way as well.
Let's flip over to the other side of the marketplace. What happened in the protein sector here today?
Yeah, we're going to close green across most of the livestock, especially hogs clawing back some of yesterday's loss, although I don't know that necessarily makes you feel too good after yesterday's trade. But fat cattle are going to close about even today, and feeders up $2 or so. So, I think live cattle are kind of at the bottom of the channel trend line they've been on. I think you can see them, kind of go back up to the 188 area on August. Hogs, I'd be a little bit nervous where we're at right now, especially after yesterday's breakthrough. We clawed back some of it today, but I do think we're probably going to continue to see the selling continue.
And of course, with the WASDE report tomorrow, we will mainly be focused on the grains, but will there be anything in the report tomorrow that will tie into the livestock side and potentially something that you're going to be looking at?
I think the report tomorrow, like you said, mostly on the grains. I don't, the WASDE report for me, typically not too much on the livestock side. If you get an on-feed report, that's kind of typically where they reside. But tomorrow I think it's going to be mostly grains, and especially, in addition to our yield, we're still continuing to monitor South America yield. Their CONAB report came out today and increased their corn production by quite a bit. So, just another shot for corn, not just in the U.S., but on the world standard as well.
Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net, our guest here today. Kaden, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yeah, you can go to our website, agmarket.net or agmarket.app. It's the new app just recently unveiled this summer. Pretty sweet for a farmer to mount their costs and sales, and just a really, really good marketing tool and very important in my opinion. So you can check that out, agmarket.net, and then go onto the app from there.
Kaden, thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate it, and have a great rest of the week. Best of luck with the busy day tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good, Mark. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you to Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net for our closing market summary. Let's turn now to the closing numbers, which can be found anytime under the markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com. September corn closes up 4.5 at $4.25. August soybeans up 3 3/4 at $11.17 even. August soybean meal up $3.20 at $3.42.40. August soybean oil up 78 cents at $47.12. Chicago wheat up 9 3/4 at $5.71 1/4. Minneapolis wheat up 7 3/4 at $6.18 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat up 18 1/4 at $5.83 3/4. September oats up 18 1/4 at $3.14 1/4. On the Merc, August live cattle unchanged at $182.25. August feeder cattle up $1.80 at $256.15. August lean hogs up 2 even at $86.67. August pork cutout down 75 cents at 98 even. Class 3 milk down 7 cents at 19.81. That's our closing market coverage for today. It is time now to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And up next, I will be joined by Edgar Castro of Chevron and Clay Norrbom of 06 Energy. You're watching Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
In today's show, I will be joined by Edgar Castro of Chevron and Clay Norrbom of 06 Energy. We're going to learn about the new solar panel array being installed at the Chevron REG biodiesel facility in Mason City to help power the plant. Chevron Renewable Energy Group is commissioning an enhancement at its Mason City biodiesel production facility with that solar array. The project kicked off with a groundbreaking event at the site that included local leaders and project partners earlier this week. The solar array is located on existing Chevron property, and it allows the Mason City facility to have access to a long-term supply of reliable, lower carbon electricity. Panels will be installed this summer, and with work expected to conclude by the end of 2024. Project partners include Faith Technologies Incorporated and 06 Energy. So first up on the show here today, I will visit with Edgar Castro with Chevron. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. We are here in Mason City today at the Chevron REG site, and I'm with Edgar Castro. And Edgar, could you tell us please your job title and your job duties within the company?
I am the General Manager of Operations and Maintenance for our biodiesel fleet, and I'm responsible for all the plants that produce biodiesel around the world for Chevron Renewable Energy Group.
So Edgar, we're standing here in front of the solar panel project here today at the site. Why are you excited about this project? And as we can see, the panel's going up pretty quickly behind us.
Well, we are very excited about the project because it's a great investment into the plant. It helps us reduce our carbon intensity. It's a great testament to Chevron's values and our commitment on increasing renewable. We really do feel like the future of energy is in renewable energy. And so this is an investment that we're doing for the plant and for the community.
So could you explain that a little bit further, please? This actually does then benefit that carbon intensity score overall.
Yes, it does. So this array will produce about 43% of our annual production of electricity, and because it's renewable, it will actually have a material impact on our carbon intensity score.
And in agriculture, we know that sustainability is a big project for just about every avenue of agriculture. And I guess that ties in right here, because when you think about it, kind of a self-sustaining ecosystem then by producing the own power for the plant. Is that kind of the idea?
Yes, that's exactly the idea. And that's why we've been working on this project for the last 2 years, so that we can, formalize it, engineer it, and put it into construction like we are today.
So who gets the ball rolling on this project then? Is it Chevron that goes out and says, hey, this is an idea that we have, maybe could this be implemented? Or is it the company coming to you and saying, we provide solar panels, we can get you going with the energy process through the solar panels?
I don't know exactly how this project got started, but in general, we have a set of engineers and staff in Ames that is always looking at all our carbon intensity scores and how we can reduce that, and so they're looking at different opportunities throughout our fleet. And this is not the only plant where we've made investments to reduce carbon intensity. We have other investments around the fleet where we are currently implementing projects or have implemented projects to reduce carbon intensity.
And is that just an ongoing process then, always trying to get better?
Yeah, this is part of our business planning process. Every year we take a step back and say, okay, what do we want to do this year? And that's when we start the planning.
So Edgar Castro, our guest here today at the Chevron REG site in Mason City. Edgar, is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers, our listeners know about then when it comes to this project specifically and why you're excited about it?
Well, I think we were very excited in the sense that it's not only just an investment in the plant, it's also an investment in the community. It increases our footprint at Mason City, and it also helps the city in its economic development.
Edgar, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it, and best of luck with the project going forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now it is time for my conversation with Clay Norrbom. He is the president of 06 Energy. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here today with Clay Norrbom. We are at the Chevron REG site here in Mason City. And Clay, could you tell us, please, your job title and your job duties, please?
Yeah, Clay Norrbom, president of 06 Energy. 06 Energy, we are a clean energy developer working on wind and solar, and we've been partnering with Chevron REG on this exciting project.
And could you tell us about what we're standing in front of here today at the site and why we're excited about it?
Well, this is a little bit over 3 megawatt ground mount solar project, which is going to provide a large amount of the electricity needed for this biodiesel facility that REG operates here in Mason City.
And that all goes back to sustainability, kind of being all together. It fits right out well with farming. Is that kind of the thought process here as well?
No, absolutely. It's exciting, the ability to lower the carbon intensity of the fuel coming out of the facility here. So that can be through farming practices and also through projects like solar like this.
So what got the ball rolling on this project? Who was kind of the idea person behind this, or I guess the group that decided this was a good idea?
Well, 06 has been working with Chevron REG for probably 5 or 6 years, looking at different facilities, looking at different combinations of wind or solar or other technologies. So this is a culmination. We did a wind project up in Minnesota with REG a few years ago. This is our first solar project with Chevron REG. Again, it's just part of finding the right fit for the right facility at the right time.
So is this, like you said, then going to provide all of the energy for this site? Does it have that capability, or is it a portion of the energy that goes into this plant?
It's a large portion. Of course, solar, produces more energy in the summer than it does in the winter. So at some times of the year, it will produce all of the electricity needed. At some times of the year, the facility will still be buying in from the grid.
And I don't know, can you store then that energy for that off season, like you said, when the sun isn't as powerful and you're not able to get those sun rays through?
Not right now as it's currently configured. We've looked at or evaluated options for including battery storage. That's always a possibility. It could be added in the future, but right now the economics of that doesn't really make sense compared to just doing the project as it is.
And you mentioned this is the first Chevron REG site to do this. Do you think this is going to continue to be a trend and you will see this happen at more sites?
Well, we would hope so. We know that over time, as solar continues to be more cost competitive, we continue to lower the cost of it compared to grid electricity. It would stand to reason that over time there should be some opportunity for that to happen.
And are there benefits here for the local community? Why is this a good move for here in Mason City?
Well, I think the exciting thing is that, for all biofuel producers, the ability to lower the carbon intensity of the fuel through projects like this ends up just creating more value for the plant, for the community. It's a virtuous circle. I would say that, for anybody selling soybeans to a plant where the value of the fuel can be made better through these sustainability measures, it benefits everybody.
And in agriculture, a lot of times, I think some people look at it as, who's benefiting from an initiative, or I guess who's kind of got the upper hand is kind of how it's looked at. But is this a win-win situation, you think, for both sides?
That's how I would describe it.
And I guess before we wrap up here today, is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers, our listeners here in the state of Iowa know about this project and why you're excited about it?
No, I guess I would just say that we certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with Chevron REG. Like I said, we have for some time. We really appreciate the community support for this project and, and again, for Chevron REG in general. So, we appreciate the community support and we look forward to, being a partner here for a long time.
Clay Norrbom, our guest here today. We're again at the Mason City Chevron REG site. Clay, thank you so much for the time and best of luck with this project.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you to Edgar Castro and Clay Norrbom for joining today's show. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AM/PM located on our YouTube channel. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts. Those are found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. And make sure and check out our daily Iowa Ag Matters podcast as well. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Quentin Slater, Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.